Hey folks, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience. Today's video is brought to you by the Ansel MR500 diagnostic tool. They have one for Suzuki, Yamaha, and coming out with Mercury. Stay tuned. I'm going to have a Mercury Ansel tool here. I have a couple Optimax and an EFI Mercury motor that we're going to go through and we're going to check them out. As you can see, we have this one dialed in with our Yamaha so that we can go in and do our Yamaha diagnostics. So as we continue our rebuild on our OX66, keep in mind this is available to you if you have a newer motor, Yamaha, this one's specifically for Yamaha, from 2002 to 2022, updated and ready to go for your diagnostics. So where did we leave off? We left off with ordering a piston, right? Oversized piston. So let's check out our piston. It's always nice to open up new parts, especially new pistons. They're just shiny new. Just something good about new pistons that are nice and clean. Let's check it out. All right, so Pro Marine piston, right? You guys know how much I like Pro Marine if you've watched any of my videos. And still trying to get them to sponsor my channel. So if you call them and order something, I thank you, Brian. So Brian sent a nice email over to Pro Marine for how much I'm promoting their channel, their business. And listen, I'm promoting it. They're not paying me to do it. Maybe that's the best endorsement that I could give. I would love to have them sponsor my channel as well because they're so helpful. So Pro Marine USA, give them a call. They'll help you find the motor and the parts that you need for your motor and help you because they have that understanding of what you're working on. I've had great success using their rebuild kits. So if you're doing a rebuild, I've just had very good success. To me, they're the closest aftermarket pistons that I've found to the OEM, and I'll have to pay those crazy OEM prices. So let's open a box for the first one, and we'll compare. Let's take a look at what the OEM one looks like and what the Pro Marine piston looks like. So just making sure we have our clips down there. It comes with the wrist pin already installed. Now what I do like also about the Pro Marine pistons, and other manufacturers do this as well, but they put a nice little coating on there. Now if I weigh this, I have the little tiny digital scales that you can buy at Harbor Freight. Probably not accurate to the ounce or whatever. But I can compare, right? I weigh this piston and weigh the standard piston, and I can see how close they are to what the OEM is. So if you look at this piston, let me show you the OEM. So again, you're not able to see up close and personal details, but all of these things are important, you know, to make sure that we have a good match. Similar dish up top, it's really machined the same way. Now let's measure this and see what we have. If you remember, what we did was we have this still locked at the standard size piston, right? So now what we can do is we can put this back in our vise. Now I'm not clamping this really hard in my vise. I use my vise for some dirty stuff too, so I'm just cleaning it off a little bit. So we're just going to see, because this should be 20 thousandths over, right? So if our standard piston was right here, and then I crank this out, and I'm going to hold my 0 mark here, and I crank this out 5, 10, 15, 20 thousandths. That should be pretty close to where this new piston is. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and take this wrist pin out because I don't want it falling out. I also don't want to get dirt in here either. We'll keep this nice and clean. And let's see what our measurement is. On our skirt. Wow, look at that. That's right about where it is. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. That's right about where we need to be. So now I'm going to dial in my dial bore gauge now, just like I did before, and zero it out, and then we'll see how far off we are on our piston wall. Let's measure it. All right, so I'm going to put my piston back in the plastic bag, put it back in the box. I want to make sure it stays clean. I don't want to be running cleaner through this and possibly take some of this coating off of it, which is going to aid in break-in. I have a special break-in lube, or a special builder's lube that I use that an old timer shared with me. So we're going to keep everything clean right now, put it aside, and now we'll dial in our dial bore gauge to match this. Now it should be just about 20 over where we were before, right? So let's see what we end up with. So it's looking like 15 thousandths, like right on the money, which is strange. So not sure why it came out that way, but I'm certainly glad I didn't bore further. So these pistons a lot of times go by metric. So if you look at this, it says 0.020, but on the top of the piston, I believe it says 0.50 or 0.050, so it uses metric. So maybe that's why it's slightly different. But this should be 20 thousandths over what the standard piston was. And it's showing me right on the money at 15. So I'm really happy that we measure these first. Not sure why it's like that, but let's see where our piston wall is now and see what the difference is between our piston and our bore. So right now we are, okay, so what I have to do is I have to first zero it out, right? So let's zero it out. Well, I could calculate it, right? So right now we're at 15 thousandths. Watch the dial go back. So now we'll see how far it goes. Looks like we are about 2 thousandths over, so we're at 17 thousandths. So it's a good thing I didn't keep boring this, right, and bore it to that 20 thousandths over. I would have had to buy another piston. This is why we go through this process. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to zero this out, and let's see if my little math calculations, not crazy math, little math calculation is correct, that we are actually 2 thousandths over. So I'm going to zero this out now, and then we'll measure again. So let me turn my dial. About 15 thousandths. That's right at zero. So let's see where we're at now. And look at that. Just about 2 thousandths. So that means we need to bore this out further, right? So now that we know where we're at, it's always key to take your time and do this, because you want to be sure, because we're looking for that. Remember the book said, I think it said 6 thousandths piston wall clearance, and that's pretty much what we had around. So that's what we're going to shoot for. But I want to bore with my 100 grit stones. We're already 2 thousandths over, so I want to go 3 thousandths more over, maybe 2.5, okay? Because I want to have those deep scratches in there. If I go right to the 200 now and just continue to take 3-4 thousandths off of it, I'm only going to have 200 thousandths grit scratches in the cylinder. I want to have those deep scratches while I'm at a 1 thousandths over, right, or under, and then go to 200 and 300 to meet where we need to be. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. Don't forget my used outboard motor buying guides for sale on Amazon. It is not a deep dive. Let me show you the book. As I said, it's not a deep dive into any specific outboard. These are the basics that you need to know when you're buying a boat with an outboard motor or a replacement outboard motor that is used. So all the tests you need to do are in here. All the basic tests. There's a list of tools as well that you need to bring with you. Just some basics. This can save you thousands, and I'm still offering for a limited time. If you have any questions plugging in or using your Ansel MR500 tool, you can send me an email at keith@outboarddad.com with proof of purchase of my book, and I will offer you a free half-hour session over the phone. It's a $250 value to help you make sure you're saving money to get the right motor. Because if you do a couple of tests and you look at this motor, it's got a bad power tilt and trim that's maybe leaking that they said was okay, or maybe the motor's rusted out, roached out on it, or maybe your lower unit has some water in it, or maybe you have some corrosion in certain specific areas that shows you in this book. By all means, you can send me pictures. If you purchase the book, you can take pictures of what you're looking at and send them to me, and you get that free half-hour session over the phone that could save you thousands in repairs. So please like, subscribe, send me any comments that you have, and we hope to see you soon out on the water. Have a great day.